Hello and thank you for joining us on Newsweek, where we highlight some of the biggest stories that made the headlines recently. I am Mark Otabo. This week, President Tinubu merges Ministries, scraps Sports Ministry, nominates Bianca Ono. Others. Also, Dangote admits suing NNPCL, Rano, others over fuel importation license, admits readiness to settle out of court. And later on the show, troops arrest ESN founder, IPOP terrorist commanders in Southeast. All the details in a moment. Please do stay with us. Welcome back. This week, President Bola Tinubu sacked 6 ministers from his cabinet and also forwarded the National Assembly's 7 ministerial nominees to take over the vacant positions. The ministers that were sacked from the cabinet were Professor Tahir Mamman, Education, Uju Kennedy Ohanenye, Women Affairs, Mohammed Gwazo, State for Housing, Jamila Ibrahim, Youth Development, Lola Adejon, Tourism, and the suspended Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Betta Edu, who has been replaced even though the government was silent on her status. The President also forwarded 7 new ministerial nominees with their portfolios to the National Assembly, including wife of late Odumegu Ojukwu, Mrs. Bianca Ojukwu, State for Foreign Affairs, for confirmation. Others are Dr. Nentanwe Iwada, who replaces the suspended Betta Edu, Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Muhammadu Negeri Dingyadi, Minister of Labour and Employment, Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. 10 ministers have been reassigned new portfolios. Now, joining us to discuss this is Olufemi Lawson, Executive Director, Center for Public Accountability. Olufemi Lawson, good to have you on the show this evening.
Good evening.
All right. And I also have Ibrahim Garba, he's a communications consultant, joining us from Abuja. Ibrahim Garba, good to have you on the show this evening. Welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me once again.
All right, let me just kick it off with you quickly. Now, the ministers that were sacked from the cabinet were Professor Tahir Mamman, Education, Uju Ohane, Women Affairs, Mohammed Gwazo, State for Housing, Jamil Ibrahim, Youth Development, Lola Adejon, Tourism, and the suspended Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Betta Edu, who has been replaced, even though there were silence on her status. Now, these are key ministries indeed. With this move by the President, are we finally seeing some level of proactiveness to ensure efficiency that we have long clamored for?
Okay, thank you very much, Mark, for having me.
Right.
In the first place, I'll look at it from different perspectives. One, politically, economically, socially, and at the same time, I want to look at it that it's for strategic reasons. Politically, yes, Mr. President is a Democrat. He's somebody that listens very well. Remember, before this time, there was policy evaluation. At the same time, ministries and agencies of government were put under supervision, which is led by Hadiza Bala Usman. So she submitted a report, and Mr. President went through all these and came up with these findings. So we are not surprised with the development. So politically, that area was taken care of. Economically, you look at it, that the economy is as if it's at a standstill. So you need to look at areas you can improve upon. I will not go by the word sack. What I will go with is reshufflement and looking for people that can help, re-energize and recalibrate the system. So bringing in fresh hands does not undermine, their performance while in office. There are some people there that distinguish themselves very well. So I think Mr. President did well by, bringing in fresh faces, while still looking at the possibility of involving them again going forward. So socially, I think Nigerians are beginning to see the impact of this new system, or rather these new faces we are seeing on board, because almost every region has been affected positively with this development. So going forward, I think we're going to see there's lights at the end of the tunnel. Nigerians are going to see better performance, and at the same time, Mr. President has actively shown that, look, he means business. So if you are with him, you are with him. If you are not with him, clearly he will tell you, look, give me time, let me reorganize the system so that we can go ahead and be friends again going forward. So I think it's a win-win situation for Nigeria and Mr. President and the party itself.
Thank you very much. Now, Olufemi Lawson, quickly. Now, in the past, ministers take their office for granted because they do not fear any sack until their tenure runs out. Now, do you think this has set a new precedent with moving forward, or could this be peculiar to just Mr. President and his attitude towards proactiveness?
Well, no, just like I said, President Tinubu is known to be a proactive person.
Right.
And I think what he has done is very much in line even with the expectation of Nigerians. Over the last couple of months, Nigerians have demanded that the president reshuffles his cabinet. And this should not be a one-off thing. Okay. If we are really interested in getting optimum performance from people who have been appointed to come out, because the president cannot do this job alone. That is why the constitution has provided for appointment of ministers. This must be seen to be a regular routine where people are actually brought to account for what they have done in position where they have been appointed to come and serve. And if we don't entrench this culture, people in this country, we've had a minister who was appointed twice and never made any impact because it was automatically believed that he's taking the slot of a state and was there perpetually. For instance, the last 8 years of the FCT under the administration of President Buhari was nothing to write home about because of the character that was a minister then. Okay. So this will challenge people who are coming to work with the government to know that, of course, you can be sent home at any given time if you are not delivering on the mandate that you have been given by the president.
Let me take you up on this before I join Garba to give us a conclusion on that part. Now, the renaming of the Ministry of Niger Delta Development Commission to the Ministry of Regional Development to oversee the activities of all the regional development commission. Now, Chief Clark alleged that the federal government was planning to use the resources of the South-South zone to fund other zonal development commissions. Now, what's your reaction to this?
Well, there's been
an outrage.
The dearth of other regional development commission, the Northeast, we started with the Northeast, we now have the Southwest, we have the Southeast, and virtually all the regions are now clamoring for development. So just the same way Niger Delta Development Commission was given birth to. So it will be unexpected that we now expect that each of these regions cannot begin to have ministry. So the best decision that have been taken was to have christened that ministry, what the president has done. Rather than giving us 6 ministries to oversee regional development, the president has merged it together. It is not going to be the ministry alone that is being funded by the resources from the oil in the Niger Delta. The country as a whole is almost running its life on resources from oil, sourced from the Niger Delta. So I don't think I want to totally agree with Elder Statement, Chief Edwin Clark.
Okay.
The most important thing is that we have been saved from having unnecessarily 6 regional ministries that would have operated like the Niger Delta Ministry by decision of the president. All
right, Mr. Garba, very quickly, let me get your thoughts on this. Now, Chief Clark is alleging that the president is trying to use the funds of the South-South to fund other regional commissions. Now, how do you react to this alleged outrage that is obviously causing a bit of unrest in the Niger Delta region?
With due respect to Edwin Clark, sometimes when you see that decisions doesn't go his own way, the way he wanted it, is always the first to question why such decisions were made. By and large, you see, we must always believe this is a project. Nigeria is a project and it's a work in progress, and we'll begin to see that politics of inclusion. And I like this step being taken by Mr. President. For too long, we've been talking about restructuring and all that. Now he has taken a bold decision. So each region now has an inclusivity. That means decisions being taken at the federal level permeate all other organs of government. And remember, with the coming on board of this local government that is about to take shape from November, where we have been talking about local government autonomy. So it's bring up another fresh perspectives whereby states and the federal, the subnationals will work in synergy so that we can witness grassroots development. For too long we have been talking about oil and gas. We are talking about the regional sentiments. I think it's time for us, somebody like Pa Clark, not to lead decent voices again. It's a time for him to look at the benefits of living together as one Nigeria, because every region from the north to the south to the east, they combine to support the growth of the Niger Delta and resources being given to the Niger, especially the 13% derivation. The question we always ask is, what have they been able to do with it? We have the NDDC, we have a lot of projects on par there over the years. What have they been able to do with it? So questions now should not be to the center, but the regional government, especially the states, they should be questioned. What did they do with the resources coming from the federation account?
All right, Gaba, thank you.
I think it's enough time for us to throw away this sentiment.
All right, thank you very much. All right, we take a time out now, and Newsweek continues in a moment. Stay with us.